Hello friends, welcome to FoxuTech. So today we're going to see another important topic, Kubernetes Cost Optimization. So this will be more generic, not only focusing on the Kubernetes, but even you can take this as an input and you can make use for any of your given cloud resources, any of the cloud or any of the application you are planning. So what are the things you should check? So this video maybe is useful for you. So yeah, let's go on to that. So why we need a cost optimization, right? So always there will be a cost optimization is important, but why it is? So and how effectively, right? So first thing, so cost is most important for any of the budgeting and current. If you think about current organization and current scenarios, the costing is very much important because this may help you to do a lot of things when you have a best cost budgeting, and also whenever you are lowering your expenses, there will be additional benefits. What are the benefits you get? The first thing, obviously, they can have a more features to be coming up. If any company want to launch a new product or new services, and that's need additional costing. So this kind of cost reduction will be help them to plan another additional services, and that will help us to the modern world environment to bring another interesting services, right? And other than that, even within your team, so if something is had to be changed, or they need a more resources, or more they have to hire someone newly, so those costing will be always higher when this kind of a cost will reduce. And other things, always companies get benefit. So that will be at loss. Any environment, doesn't mean enterprise or doesn't mean startup or doesn't mean middle size company organization. So everyone, the cost optimization is must because that may leak unnecessary amounts. So if you are spending which is needed, that's obviously great. But something which we are not spending properly, then it will be a risk, right? So with this, we're gonna see that how efficiently you can save your money and what are the things you can check when you are planning for your optimization, right? So always it comes for the challenging in the cloud environments. If you think about earlier environments, we were having a warehouse data centers, and that may have a warehouses, and warehouse will have a proper stocking, and we may plan for this particular year and we bought everything whatever it's needed. Mostly it will be covered. There will be additional unexpected cost comes, but that will be a very less. We know that is what we're gonna spend, but the amount was very huge and maintenance cost, everything is very high. That's what the cloud is. Cloud is one of the famous option for most of the organization, and mostly nowadays the companies are moving to the cloud. But when you are moving to cloud, again you should not spend same amount whatever you spend, right? That should be reduced or at least half of the amount, as you are not owning anything now. So everything is just on demand, right? How you can do that? So there should be a proper labeling, or proper KPI should be collected, and you should review it, and you should check also, is it valid or if it's not, right? So that's what we're gonna see in this video. So let's jump into that next thing, how you can do that, right? So how you can do the best cost optimization? These are all the things you should do it on regular basis or on demand, right? And so that's how. So we'll see one by one. First is the policies. Always having a best policy in place is a very good option for any kind of environment, right? Why? Because the policy will say like, hey, you have to do this thing. You have defined everything what is needed, and people cannot disobey that, right? So they don't need to do anything else. What you have said, it's been followed on the organization level. Let's say like a users are who need some huge amount of VMs, but your organization says, hey, you can't use more than this, right? So they have to think about that very well. Okay, is it enough or is it really needed? If it's needed, they can come back to us and we can revisit that policies. But in case there is no such a request and they can reduce it, then it will be like a very best, and they can just create it on demand, and it will be save us a lot of amount, right? And second thing, again, the policy will be another intake. Another related topic for the right sizing, because the right sizing should be needed for the application, whatever you are using. You should know about your application, know about your infrastructure. Is it needed the exact CPUs and exact memories? Is it really mandatory or it can be optimized? Right? You have to check that and you have to make use of it. And another interesting thing we have to check, is it really needed today or tomorrow, right? So if it's tomorrow, we have, as we are in a cloud, it's very easy for us. We can just scale it in a double click. It's not the old story anymore. The old story is we have to go to the VM and we have to stop the VM. We have to remove all the hardware and we have to put a new hardware. Then we have to reassemble everything. Then we have to turn it on. It maybe works fine. It may not work fine. If it works, again, it's hours of downtime. If it's not working, it may goes to days, right? So that kind of risk it was involved, but at this moment there is no such things. Cloud is handled very quick clicks. So we have to make use of that, and with that we can have a minimal optimized infrastructure. Next, you have to track your two things. One is unresourced and ideal resources. Unresourced resources, maybe something got created earlier and it's not been deleted or removed, or it may be just not even in the stopped state, it may running somewhere in the site. But what is happens here? So your cost is completely leaking on that. You should keep eye on that and you have to remove that if it's unneeded, or at least stop it or reduce the size. See, let's say like you have some VM which is no more needed for another 2 months, right? So either you can delete it if you are using a Terraform or CloudFormation or Azure templates, right? So you can recreate it anytime. Or if you say like, no, it's needed sometimes, I can't delete it, then at least do one thing, reduce your size of the VM from 64 GB RAM to just 1 GB or 2 GB, and as it's going to be in a stopped state, it's not going to harm anything. But whatever the reserved hardware you are having, that will be reduced and the cost will be very, very cheap, right? So you no need to pay, which is even not in use, you no need to pay for 64 GB, right? So you are even that won't consume, but there will be some reserved amount you have to pay. Those amounts even reduced for lesser amount sizes. Ideal resources, again, there is something like you have VM which runs 8 hours full-fledged, but remaining 16 hours, it's just lies ideal. Is it valid? No, right? So we have to think about how better we can optimize that. So with ideal resources, we have to optimize it. We have to identify the ideal resources. We have to optimize it. And how you can do both. So either you can go for the better algorithms or metrics monitoring, or you can make use of the spot instances. So which will be like a very much, sometimes it's not used very well, reserved VM, the spot VMs, and you can just use it on demand and you can just stop it. So with that, you can have a lot of savings. So that may reduce again the cost of costing. Or think about the multi-cloud. So why the multi-cloud is recommended here? So multi-cloud is one interesting topic. Let's say like you have 10 VMs and one VM is very much costly on one cloud, and that same VM maybe it's very lesser on another cloud. So obviously if there is a huge number of amount we are saving, and that time it's good to have such a option, multi-cloud, and we have a modern infrastructure, the load balancers can work across clouds. So in that case, things we can make use of it, and we can try the multi-cloud even. Or you can go for the any other options very much better. Like you can have tools, some certain tools, monitoring tools, and that may suggest you to do some recommend things. Like you can reduce this hours, you can reduce, and this hours you can scale it up. Like that, if you have any recommendation tools, even you can utilize those kind of tools. Okay. Next thing is like a billing part. So you have to keep check your bills. Again, these all the things you have to, if when you are doing this policies, right sizing, ideal and unused resource management, multi-cloud and spot instances, obviously you are reducing your cost, but still there will be some leaking amount. How you can identify? As we can't visualize ourselves, hey, only I'm using 10 VMs. Maybe there is a 12 VMs, 2 VMs without our knowledge, someone may be created. So we can't see that always, right? If there is a separate location it's placed, separate region or separate subscription or separate resource group, there's n number of reasons. We can't see everything in a one eye. So always we have to keep check your bills and see that is it a bill is valid? Is it something it's unknown resources are still laying there? If there is something with the bill you can identify, then you have to go to the next native monitoring tools and see where that resource and how much it's consuming and who is using. Okay, so that's the best thing in the cost management tools, native cost management tools. You can see which where is the resource everything. Or you can do one more thing, like you have to set the budgets and limitations, and along with the alerts, you can just do with the nowadays all the cloud providers are providing this solution with a different tools name. You can make use of this, right? So with that, what happens? Obviously, we will know that okay, this is my budget, but there is some leak is happening. Where is that leak is coming? You may plan 30 days, $3,000, but it's reached on 24th day itself. Why it's so? So maybe it's there any wrong. So if you know that, if you can alerted, okay, you are reached till you have 6 days till you are reached the $3,000, you can see okay, why it's there, and so there is some VMs are not even used till it's running. Right, those kind of things you can identify and you can at least stop it on the certain time. You may still reduce the cost, right? And okay, so this is maybe budget and native cost, but how I can see for the future thing what is going to happen, right? Most of the cloud again there is options forecasting. Forecasting will help you to see in the future what is the amount you're gonna pay next month, how much I'm gonna pay. So everything you can see it on the forecasting future. And so this is all I can do, but still I have thousands of resources or lakh thousands of teams, and under that there is a different thing. How better I can do that, right? So tagging is one of the best things for the cloud resources. So you can tag each and everything, every resource with the certain teams, and you can even filter with the tags, and you can see which team is spending a large of amount. And drill down that, go to the particular teams, go check the resources. What is the resource they are spending more? Okay, is it valid? Again, review that and you can suggest them a best solution. So with that, it will be like we can easily drill down it with the teams and we can focus on respect to that. If let's assume you don't have any kind of a cloud tagging, what happens? We will be in a trouble always. What kind of trouble? There will be thousands of resources. It's very hard for us to track down who is using what. And we may think we have a better host name, better things, we can reduce it, but it will be like it takes n number of days. And between that, you have to spend a lot of amount. But there is an option, you have to specific to the particular team. With that, you can identify this kind of things easily and you can filter. One, again, there is a cloud. This is all cloud and Kubernetes, right? So Kubernetes providing a labeling feature. You can put a labeling or some kind of annotations on which service or which pod is consuming more. You can identify with that, and even that will help you to say, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is the amount I'm spending, I have to reduce it, right? And we're gonna see it in the coming slide how best you can optimize it for that part. We'll see that. And please review and repeat all one. This is not one time I have set up and I can take rest in the cloud, because we are not going to host single application in the cloud and we are not living for a days or years as like earlier time. There will be a certain application once we set next 2 to 3 years, we don't need to do anything, it will be as it is. But the world is changed. We are in a modern world. There is a new application comes even the days or even hours. Like if you take AWS, they are deploying a new feature every hour. So they are deploying almost 1,000 times per day, and that kind of changes is coming for the biggest CD, continuous deliveries, right? So when such a numbers are there, you can't predict your costing. So those kind of things you have to keep very tight eye on that. Keep review your bills, keep review your spendings, forecasting, budget, everything you have to keep check, and you have to take a necessary action introduce a new policies and keep check your right sizing and things, or assign the teams to do this part, right? So this kind of things will help you to have this kind of things. We're gonna see it still more down and how we can optimize it, as we should not come this much hard part, because engineers, we have a lot of things to do, but still it's not our task, right? So how we can check that? So we're gonna see what the best thing we can do, that kind of thing. First thing, so whenever you are planning any kind of infrastructure, doesn't matter cloud or on-premises, first understand what is your requirement for CPUs, memories, and which kind of storage you need, what is the best network you are looking for, right? So once you have those details, it will be easy for you to plan your what is I need and what is need to be placed, right? So with the CPU, and once you have a numbers, how many CPUs and memories, then you can easily pick the right size VMs in any kind of a cloud. So because if you can see that AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, you can see there is 100+ instance types are available from different cases, right? So it's not easy for us to remember, oh, okay, this I can't go, we can't go one by one instance name. This is what I need. If I have a number, I can go and filter between that 8 CPU and 63 GB RAM. I can see how many options are available. In that, I can drill down. So out of 8, I can come to 1, but I can't come 1,100 to 1, right? It will be very hard for me. So those kind of things will be there. That's what you should have a proper number. Then you can choose the right place, right numbers. Next, storage. Always CPU and memory is a key thing, but storage is another biggest thing we have to keep in mind whenever we are planning any kind of application. In case if the application is storage specific, right? Because there will be a keep on reads and writes. If your storage is not up to that, then you will face the issues. You should have a best throughput. And so if you choose the cloud architectures, there will be a different cloud storage types: standard, premium, ultra premium. There is a number of things. You have to understand each and everything, and you have to understand your application. Is it really needed standard or premium or ultra premium, or is it fine? I can optimize with some standard SSDs or HDDs, right? You have to know that. Then you can to plan your storage category also, because again you want to spend a lot of amount even in the storage. Maybe standard is cheaper, but when it's going premium, you have to spend almost 5x or 10x. Ultra, it will be another 5x, 10x spending from the premium. So you have to keep understanding your requirement, keep planning your architectures based even in the storage also, one of the key thing. Networking will be another interesting topic, but maybe there is no heavy load. Based on the tools, you can do that, or just choosing the bandwidth, it will be done. And mostly it will be separated from this kind of infrastructure, because already it's your company has chosen that. You don't need to spend time on that, but these all the things will be on our control. Next is like understand your workloads. Why workloads are important? Again, it's a relation between the right sizing. Let's say like your VM runs for a year, and 6 months it will be in a high utilization, 6 months it will be a moderated, right? So in that case, you should have a high resource allocation for the 6 months, medium resource allocation for next 6 months. So you can plan your size. Okay, this month, January to June, I have to my VM should be the cluster should have this many numbers. In this time, I can reduce to this many numbers. So with that, you are spending for 6 months very high amount, but next 6 months you are optimizing to best numbers. This kind of things you have to understand, you have to plan it. That's important. Or when you are using a cloud, try for the mixed instances. Let's not like hey, I need a 10 VMs on my cluster, and all 10 should be like 64 CPUs and 128 GB RAM. It's not the case, right? You can keep 164 CPU and 128 GB. Next one can be like a 32 and 64. Like that, you can just have a multiple numbers. That will also one way may help in the Kubernetes, and we'll see that. And what is the limitation even in that, we'll see that. So next is the region. Region is one of the another optimization options we can pick. think about it. Why? Because in any cloud you take, it's more than a 10 places right nowadays, or it may be 20 plus. So what happens? Each and every place, they are not cost is same. They have a different costing for different regions. You can check, is it the region what I'm using, is it needed really, or I can move to some cheapest region. With that, I can save this much amount. You have to keep think about it. Again, don't compromise anything. Like it's in a cloud doesn't mean like I'm moving from US to Switzerland or Europe countries. It doesn't mean I should compromise my latencies or any kind of things. If there is an option, it may not make issues to you, as there is no huge distance between the Europes and US. Maybe the latency will be just 0.001. If that case, you have to think about it. Now my latency is increasing to 2.1, then you have to rethink. You should not move it. Within your region, whichever it's nearby, just check. If it suits, then you decide. Okay, it's not a force, but it's a best practice and one thing you can think about it. Or whenever you are planning a region, even that is the one thing you can think about it. Right. So this is on the any kind of a cloud best practices. Let's see about on Kubernetes how you can implement such a best practices, right? So when it's coming Kubernetes, there is a 5 major things as per our understanding. First thing is pod right sizing. Pod right sizing is we'll see that what is that and how we can do the best pod sizing and what are the things we should do it. Second thing is node right sizing, auto scaling, and cost cloud discounts. Like there will be some reserved instance they provide or spot instance they provide, and there will be some savings plan they may suggest. You can follow that. That may help you to have a best reduced cost. Next is QoS, quality of service, and how you can say the quality of, you can define the quality of service on the pod level. Okay, and schedulers, how scheduler can help us to do the assignment. You can plan for it, right? We're gonna see that. So before that, let's start with the pod sizing. So pod sizing is one of the key important things because at last the mostly consumption happens rightly on the pod. Doesn't matter you have a service deployment, this will be a last resort, right? So what you can do, you can have a resource limit or request. It will be defined earlier. So with that, what happens? So your pod will be just consumed whatever it's defined. You no need to have a huge number of open pods, and that may have a memory leaks or unnecessary things will be assigned to the pod. And with that, we may spend a huge number of amounts. It's not needed, right? When you have a best pod sizing, you know what is my pod is going to do and how much it's going to consume. That will help us to have a right sizing. So how you can achieve? So you can define the resource request and limits either on the pod level, or if you think it's needed on the namespace level, you can implement that. We have made a video on that, how you can do that. So you can check that if you would like to, right? So I'll be adding that in the description. You can check that one. Okay. And so along with that, so not only on the pod here, so you can have any kind of a resource limits you can implement on the namespace level. Let's say like I need to allow only 1020 config maps on the namespace. You can reduce such a thing, and that will help you to even further drill down the sizing. But there's all the options available for you. And next thing is you can try for the enable vertical pod autoscaler, but it's not always recommended because vertical pod autoscaler sometimes, not always, very rarely, it may need a downtime, and that time you may be stuck. So to avoid that, just see about the other autoscaling options. We're gonna see it in the coming slide, but just think about it. So next is a node sizing. So node sizing is again, as I said, you should gather your application, how much it's needed, how much it's useful, and you have to plan the node size. And also whenever you are knowing your size, please check which cloud you are using, and each cloud has a limitation of certain numbers of pods can be run. So if you are running with the n numbers of pods, maybe 1000 pods if you want to run, So you have to know which VM I should use, how many VMs I can use it. So you can see the limitation here. AWS is having 4 to 737 pods can run on the single VM. GKE can run 256 in the latest version. If you are using a old version of GKE 1.23, and then you can run only 110 pods. If you are using a AKS, you can, by default it will be 30, but you can request to the resource increase. With that you can achieve till 250 maximum number. Okay, so if you understand that, and if you are running with any cloud and it's needed this many numbers of pods to be running, you have to think about that and plan your instance size. Next is the auto scaling part. So there is a 3 type of auto scaling in the Kubernetes: horizontal auto scaling, vertical auto scaling, and cluster auto scaler. So first is vertical auto scaler, nothing but, so let's say like you have a cluster and it's running multiple pods, and today it's consuming 2 GB of RAM, and supposed to be it's needed additional 4 GB or 5 GB. With the vertical auto scaler, if you enabled, it will increase that 4 GB and it make sure that is reaching that limit. Again, it will be more aligned with the node in case if there is a as I said, so vertical pod scaler maybe sometimes it's risky. It may not able to scale as it is, or it may need your pod to be restarted. So its container need to be restarted. Obviously, your pod will be on waiting state. So those kind of issue may come always. So please think about it and see is there any best options you can implement it. Next, for the horizontal pod autoscaler, horizontal pod autoscaler just replicate another pod on the nodes, available node, and it scales your cluster pods. So that will be one of the always recommended option, horizontal options. But again, so you have to think whichever it's needed for you and you have to choose it. Next is cluster autoscaler is nothing but it's equal to the Azure or AWS auto scaling option. How many VMs you are having, and you are adding additional VMs and demand. So next important things is like a QoS, quality of service. So what happens? So you can define your quality classes to make a decision about the scheduling and dedicated pods. How it does? Again, it's related to your resource limitation, resources request and limitation depend on the particular pod, and with that it provides the 3 type of classes. One is guaranteed and bustable and best effects. With the guarantee quality of service, it ensures the pod have a set of CPUs and memory requested. Okay, with a bustable resource allocation will be enable the pods to access more resources only when it's required. It won't allow always. And again, there is a third thing is like a best effect allows to run while there is a capacity on the node. Okay, with the best effect, you don't need to define any kind of classes or any kind of a resource limit or request limit. It's just open to the node as like you are running a Docker kubectl run command. So you can run it. It will not have any kind of a resource or request limits. Okay. So that is best effect. So these are the options. You have to understand what is needed, and you have to keep practice, and you have to plan your application or the pod to be using which kind of a classes. Okay. Next is the Kubernetes scheduler. So scheduler refers to make sure your pods match to the node so that kubelet can run them, right? So it's again like so we've seen this already in the pod creation section. Once you have pod scheduled, it will be checking which available node is there based on the manifest you given. Based on that, it will assign it. How it's assigned that? It has a filtering and scoring option. With the best scoring option, it has each VM will have a scores. So based on the scores, the scheduler thinks, okay, this VM is having a best score, I have to assign it. Okay, so this all applicable only if you are just running as a normal scheduling. If you have any node affinity set, node affinity is nothing but you have 10 nodes and you know this application should run node 6, right? If you are having anything different, then it's directly go and check the particular node and its operation will be restricted to single node. no, I don't have any such node affinity and I want to open for it and I can schedule it as it is if you say, then there is a things comes filtering and scoring. So based on the filter and scoring, it will be assigned to the node. There is additional scheduling policies and profiling options are there. So with that, it's again there is a further options will be enabled and it may match and it stains the things, right? So these are all the options you can think about and implement it on your cluster, and with that you can track. Again, tagging and labeling is by default. We didn't include it. Have a proper tagging and labeling for your cloud or any kind of a Kubernetes resources. With that, you can use some monitoring tools and you can filter it out and you can see what is happening, right? And how I can do that? Again, you no need to do most of the things manually. You no need to sit and do the let's say like I don't want to sit here and I don't want to do everything, right? So what you can do, you can employ any kind of tools available on the market. These are all the top tools we have collected, but still there is other things you can check based on your organization needed. So you can pick any of the tools listed here, Cloud Jira or Azure. Even by default, it provides the cost optimization options, or AWS CloudWatch, which is collects all the resource metrics and it can populate it to any kind of a dashboard, and you can see that. Or you can use the Densify. Again, there is a third-party tool, Park My Cloud, as a platform. It's along with the CV's continuous delivery option. They are providing this kind of additional features also. You can take a look. And Cloud Availability and Cloud Health and Cloud Check Finance Manager. So those are like they have enabled with some AI features. With that, they can track how much you are consuming and how long, and what is your VM size, and how much storage you are using, how much service you are utilizing. Everything will be tracked. So based on that, they even suggest you to do something like you can reduce this VM is running for this many hours only, but this consumption is you have given 8 CPU, but it's consuming only 2 CPU. So when you have such a details, you can do one more. You can think about the reducing the VM size, right? So those kind of recommendation comes at times. You can revisit that each and every recommendation. You can implement the best parts. Okay. So why I need a third-party tools? As I have, as I'm in using Azure, I can use Azure, or I am in AWS, I can use AWS. Yes, that is valid. You can use if you are using Azure, so it has a very best monitoring solution. Or if you are using a CloudWatch, sorry, AWS, yes, AWS is providing a best cloud solutions, right? So, but our intention here is nothing but like let's say you are using a multi-cloud option. As there is a cloud adaptation is more and people are started trying multi-cloud, right? So when you have a multi-cloud, it will be hard for you to manage two different dashboards. Let's say like you have one subscription, more resources in AWS and another set of resources you have placed on the Azure. And in that case, it will be so risk, right? So it's so heavy for you to manage two different dashboards. When you have a single place like Cloud Jira or Cloud Marketplace, Cloud Armor, they have integrated solutions for your cluster or the multiple cloud providers. They combine both and they give the suggestion, and they give the single dashboard to view all the both the clusters, right? So this kind of things will be helpful for you on the third party, but even though it's up to you, so you can decide however you want. So with AWS, sorry, Azure, how you can do that? So let me just show you what are the things you can do with AWS, sorry, Azure. So Azure is by default when you go to your subscription. I'm not sure you have access, but this is how it look like. When you go for your subscription, so in the subscription you have option for cost analyze, cost alert, budget. You can define everything, and with that you can see how much you're gonna spend for this cloud options. Okay, how much is actually, how much is the forecast. As we said, the forecasting amount will be very useful for us. Let's see like only we need a forecast here. So with the forecast, okay, the amount is going still. I have to pay 15K, right? I can check which resource is spending most of the amount. So as I'm running a VM, I know that this is the expected cost, but even I have to check, is it the right VM size I'm using? The VM is well used. And what is the storage used? And how much I'm spending for the storage? So whenever you are drill down in the service, it will come down and it show you what is the thing. And if you have multi-region, you can choose the multi-region, or if you have a different tags, you can see the tags with the detailed view. And what resource group is consuming a huge amount, even you can check. So with that, you will have a best understanding. So you can use this cost by resource groups, and you can say like a subscription. And with that, you can have a different drill down or detailed billing details. So that will help you to plan again your budgeting. So once you have a numbers for 2 or 3 months, you can just plan for the best budget. And also you can have a cost alert. You can say, hey, this is my limit, and it should be allotted me whenever it's reaching a threshold of 80% or 90%, right? So those kind of features you can make use of it, and you will have a best cost optimization options. That's it for now. So hope this video is useful. Please, if you like this video, please share with your friends or who are working on the cost side. Are you all planning to implement new parts or the Kubernetes cluster or any kind of application? You can suggest them so they can also make use of this. And we will be demonstrating for few more options like auto scaling, how you can enable the auto scaling for the pods, right? And also we will be demonstrating QoS and Kubernetes scheduler in detailed separate videos. In coming days, we can plan for it and we will try to demonstrate to you. So if you have time, please check these resource limitations also, whatever we have suggested for the both pods and the namespace. So that video also should be helpful for you guys. So thanks for your time, guys. Have a great day and have a best planning and best budgeting for your cloud. We are in a cloud doesn't mean we are privileged to use whatever they are providing. So we should keep high on the budget and we have to utilize the thing based on our need only. Thank you, guys. Cheers. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye bye.